Brazil loves to show the world open beaches, painted fishing boats, water so clear it looks edited, and islands sold as paradise with a lunch stop included. But off the same coast, behind naval rules, biological reserves, slippery rocks, venom, military history, and pure Atlantic distance, there is another Brazil. Islands you may see on maps, in aerial photos, or from a boat window, but you probably will never legally step on. Some are not forbidden because of superstition. They are forbidden because birds nest there, snakes survived there, ships train near them, scientists work there, or the ocean itself charges an entrance fee in waves, fuel, bureaucracy, and risk. So subscribe before the tide changes, because this countdown goes from places that are merely hard to access to islands that feel less like destinations and more like guarded fragments of the country. Number 17. Ilha Rasa, Rio de Janeiro. At the entrance of Guanabara Bay, Ilha Rasa looks like a stone bookmark placed between Rio de Janeiro and the open sea. It is not a beach island. It is a warning light. Its famous lighthouse began construction in 1819 by order of King João VI and was inaugurated in 1829. Today, the light still belongs to the world of navigation, not tourism. The Navy states that the lighthouse has a luminous range of 51 nautical miles, about 82 kilometers, which means the island exists more for ships than for visitors. You can admire it from offshore, but the ordinary traveler does not treat Ilha Rasa as a weekend stop. There is no casual towel on the sand, no kiosk, no lazy trail. It is a place that helps people arrive in Rio while remaining outside the experience of arriving there. It guides everyone in. It invites almost no one ashore. Number 16. Ilha das Cobras, Rio de Janeiro. The strangest inaccessible island in Brazil may be one you can see from the heart of a major city. Ilha das Cobras sits near downtown Rio, close enough to feel urban, yet absorbed into the machinery of the Brazilian Navy. It belonged to the Navy since the 18th century period, when Rio was tied to the flow of gold from Minas Gerais. Fortifications rose there one after another, and in 1761, the complex took the name Fortaleza de São José da Ilha das Cobras. Today, the island holds naval structures including the Marine Corps, the Navy Central Hospital, the Naval Prison, the Arsenal, and the Navy's historical documentation facilities. That is the contrast. You are not stopped by jungle or ocean, but by institution. The city surrounds it. Traffic moves nearby. History is almost within arm's reach. Still, you can look, but you cannot wander. Ilha das Cobras is not hidden by distance. It is hidden in plain sight. Number 15. Ilha de Marambaia, Rio de Janeiro. Marambaia is the kind of place that tricks the eye. From the coast, it can appear like a long tropical refuge of sand, restinga, green slopes, and calm water. But its beauty is braided with military presence, territorial memory, and social history. The island is associated with the Navy's Centro de Adestramento da Ilha da Marambaia in Mangaratiba, and with training activities around the Restinga da Marambaia. Official defense material also describes the Navy's long relationship with preservation on the island and the later creation of a training center in the 1980s. There is another layer here. Marambaia is also tied to Quilombola history, with Ilha de Marambaia listed among certified Quilombola communities by Fundação Palmares. So this is not a simple, secret beach. It is a place where coastline becomes archive, training ground, ecological fragment, and contested memory. You do not visit it like an island resort. You approach it through permission, context, and respect. Marambaia is beautiful, yes, but beauty is the least complicated thing about it. Number 14. Ilha dos Lobos, Rio Grande do Sul. Far to the south, near Torres, Ilha dos Lobos rises low and dark from cold Atlantic water. It is rocky, exposed, and famous not for palm trees, but for marine mammals. The refuge is about 1.8 kilometers from the beach of Torres, and its protection area includes the island and surrounding waters. Its purpose is to preserve natural ecosystems while allowing controlled research, environmental education, recreation, and ecotourism. The island has records of sea lions and fur seals going back centuries, and it is also linked to the 1960 wreck of the cargo ship Avaí. This is a place where tourism must stay humble. You may approach the surroundings under rules, but landing is not treated like a casual excursion. The animals are not decorations. The rock is not a stage. Ilha dos Lobos is not a beach with wildlife. It is wildlife with a rock attached. Number 13. Ilhas dos Curais, Paraná. From the Paraná coast, the Ilhas dos Curais look small enough to underestimate. 3 rocky islands, no glamorous strip of sand, no hotel postcard. But the moment birds fill the sky, the scale changes. The Parque Nacional Marinho das Ilhas dos Curais was created by Law 12,129 in 2013 to protect the island ecosystems, surrounding marine environments, nesting areas for birds, and marine habitat. The archipelago includes Grapera, Tres Picos, and Filhote, and conservation organizations warn that landing is not permitted. Diving requires ICM bio authorization. The practical lesson is simple. You may go near the place, but you do not turn it into your private rock. The island belongs first to wings, nests, salt, and wind. Curais is not a beach missing from the brochure. It is a nursery the brochure should leave alone. Number 12. Ilha da Sapata, São Paulo. Ilha da Sapata is small, almost abrupt, a hard round piece of rock in the Alcatrazes region. It does not look like a protagonist. But in environmental history, small rocks sometimes carry heavy arguments. During debates about protection in Alcatrazes, the Navy publicly discussed excluding Sapata from the proposed protected area so it could remain linked to naval gunnery training. ICM-BIO reporting described it as a roughly 4-hectare islet, about 4 kilometers from Ilha de Alcatrazes, with low vegetation and some seabird nests. That is why Sapata feels uneasy. It is not just scenery, it is a compromise carved into stone. Around it, the themes of sovereignty, conservation, military readiness, and fragile fauna collide. To most people, it is just a distant rock. To the map, it is a decision. Number 11. Ilha de Alcatrazes, São Paulo. Now the story grows larger. Ilha de Alcatrazes, the main island of the archipelago, rises from the sea like a fortress made by volcanoes and birds. It looks cinematic, almost too dramatic for the São Paulo coast. For decades, the place was associated with restricted access and military use. Today, the Refugio de Vida Silvestre do Arquipélago de Alcatrazes allows public use in controlled, embarked forms, such as nautical tours, recreational diving, and wildlife observation. But the management plan is clear. The islands have no beaches. They shelter fragile seabird nesting sites and endemic habitats. The main island belongs to the Navy, and landing for visitation is not permitted. So you may see Alcatrazes from the water. You may dive in permitted areas. But you do not stroll ashore like a conqueror with a waterproof camera. Alcatrazes is not abandoned anymore. It is recovering under watch. Number 10. Calo de São Pedro, Santa Catarina. Calo de São Pedro is almost a lesson in how small a protected place can look from a distance. It is not an island with mythology, villages, or ruins. It is a fragment, a hard punctuation mark in the sea, but it belongs to the Reserva Biológica Marinha do Arvoredo, a federal biological reserve off Santa Catarina. The reserve includes the islands of Gale, Arvoredo, Deserta, and Calo de São Pedro, and covers about 17,600 hectares of coastal and marine ecosystems. In the category of biological reserve, public visitation is prohibited, except for regulated research or environmental education. That is the point. Protection does not wait for a place to become famous. A calo, a bare-looking rocky outcrop, can matter intensely to life around it. You may see almost nothing. The law sees an ecosystem. Number 9. Ilha Deserta, Santa Catarina. The name is almost too perfect. Ilha Deserta. Deserted island. A YouTube title writes itself. But the truth is quieter and more serious. From the sea, it can seem like an invitation. Green slopes, rock, birds. The kind of silence that makes people imagine they discovered something. But in a biological reserve, discovery is not a recreational right. And since we are halfway through, subscribe now. Because apparently even deserted islands need protection from people who call themselves nature lovers. Ilha Deserta is not empty. It is full of reasons to stay that way. Number 8. Ilha da Gale, Santa Catarina. Ilha de Gale sits inside the same protected marine universe, close enough to tourist Santa Catarina to feel almost unfair. People visit nearby beaches, take boats, look at the horizon, and somewhere out there lies an island that tourism cannot simply consume. The Arvoredo Reserve preserves Atlantic forest remnants, coastal ecosystems, islands, islets, surrounding waters, and continental shelf environments. ICM Bio notes rare or threatened species, and even archaeological sites that may be up to 4,000 years old. That gives Gale a different atmosphere. It is not just a pretty island outside a beach town. It is a locked room where biology, archaeology, and sea weather continue without daily human interruption. The public may want access because the place is beautiful. The restriction exists because beauty is not always strengthened by footsteps. Gale does not need more visitors. It needs more time. Number 7. Ilha do Arvoredo, Santa Catarina. Ilha do Arvoredo is the most famous name in this Santa Catarina cluster, especially among divers who know the waters around it. It has the aura of a marine sanctuary, clear visibility on good days, fish moving through blue corridors, rocky walls dropping into life. But fame does not cancel category. The Reserva Biologica Marinha do Arvoredo was officialized in 1990, and ICM Bio states that, as a biological reserve, it requires full preservation of natural resources, with public visitation prohibited except for research and environmental education. So the irony is sharp. The island is known precisely because it is special, and it remains special because access is restricted. You may hear its name in diving conversations. You may see images, but stepping onto it is another matter entirely. Arvoredo is not a playground with rules. It is a reserve whose rules are the reason the playground never happened. Number 6. Ilha da Queimada Pequena, São Paulo. Queimada Pequena is the quieter sister in a darker family. It does not have the global fame of Queimada Grande, but it shares the same protected story. The Área de Relevante Interesse Ecológico, Ilhas da Queimada Pequena e Queimada Grande, is managed by ICM Bio, and the two islands are under federal protection. Queimada Pequena receives less legend, fewer headlines, and far fewer dramatic nicknames. That makes it almost more intriguing. It is the island next to the myth, the one most people forget while staring at the more frightening name. In practice, it is not a normal stop for curious beachgoers. It belongs to a conservation context where permission, research, and management matter more than adventure. Queimada Pequena reminds us that not every protected island becomes famous. Some simply disappear behind the shadow of their more dangerous neighbor. Number 5. Ilha da Queimada Grande, São Paulo. Now we reach the viral one. Ilha da Queimada Grande, the famous Snake Island. It sits off the São Paulo coast, looking green, steep, and almost peaceful. Then you learn what lives there. ICMBio describes it as part of the Área Ilhas da Queimada Pequena e Queimada Grande, restricted to researchers and environmental professionals. Before embarking, researchers need SIS-Bio authorization, granted only after ICMBio evaluates a proposal. The island is difficult to land on because there is no beach, only slippery rock, and the dense population of snakes makes unauthorized presence dangerous. The star here is the golden lancehead, Bothrops insularis, an endemic snake listed as critically endangered. But this is not a monster movie. The danger is real, but so is the conservation logic. Isolation created a species. Human curiosity could help destroy it. You probably never want to be bitten there. And honestly, the island never asked to be visited. Number 4. Atol das Rocas, Rio Grande do Norte. After venom and rocks, Atol das Rocas feels like a hallucination of paradise. Pale sand, shallow pools, coral formations, birds, turtles, blue water circling a delicate ring in the Atlantic. It looks like a luxury destination waiting for a price tag. It is not. Atol das Rocas is a biological reserve, the only atoll in the South Atlantic, and Brazil's first marine conservation unit. ICMBio states clearly that the reserve is not open to visitors and receives only researchers. That is the beautiful cruelty of Rocas. It has all the ingredients of a fantasy resort and none of the permission structure. No casual tourism, no honeymoon deck, no hidden gem itinerary. Its restriction is not a failure of access. It is the entire reason the place still functions as a living reef system. Atol das Rocas looks like paradise. Its paradise depends on saying no. Number 3. Archipelago de São Pedro e São Paulo, Pernambuco. In the middle of the Atlantic, near the equatorial line, São Pedro e São Paulo does not feel like Brazil as most Brazilians imagine it. It feels like a scientific outpost, bolted to the planet's bones. The archipelago is about 100 kilometers from the continent. ICMBio describes it as a rare geological formation, an exposure of Earth's mantle, and notes that Brazilian presence there helps secure a 200 nautical mile zone around it. The scientific station has existed in generations since 1998, with the current modernization involving ICMBio, the Navy, UFES, and partners. Access is restricted and brutally practical. Researchers need preparation, and the Navy handles logistics, transport, supply, and maintenance. ICMBio says researchers undergo intensive sea survival training before going. This is not a secret beach. It is a Brazilian punctuation mark in the ocean. São Pedro e São Paulo is where geography stops being scenery and becomes sovereignty. Number 2. Ilhas de Martim Vaz, Espírito Santo. Martim Vaz prepares the final climb. These islands are not inviting. They are remote, steep, wind-bitten, and almost absent from the imagination of ordinary travel. They belong to the Trindade Martim Vaz world, far out from the Espírito Santo coast, where maps become more important than tourist photos. The Federal Monumento Natural das Ilhas de Trindade e Martim Vaz e do Monte Columbia was created by Decree 9312 in 2018 and covers more than 6.7 million hectares of marine coastal biome. ICMBio and the Navy also established governance structures for the conservation units in the archipelago, emphasizing its scientific and strategic relevance. For the public, Martim Vaz is almost theoretical. It is Brazilian territory. Most citizens will only know through coordinates, expedition reports, and distant images. The sea does not make it romantic. The sea makes it selective. Martim Vaz is not inaccessible by accident. It is inaccessible because the Atlantic still has teeth. Number 1. Ilha de Trindade, Espírito Santo. At the top of the countdown is an island that looks like Brazil's edge of the world, Ilha da Trindade, about 1,200 kilometers from Vitória, Espírito Santo. It is described by ICMBio as the Brazilian territory farthest from the continent. Today, it is inhabited only by military personnel, ICMBio staff, researchers, and people connected to those groups. Management and protection of the archipelago are shared by ICMBio and the Brazilian Navy, and there is no ordinary tourist visitation. Trindade is volcanic, isolated, strange, and beautiful in a way that does not fit the word beach. It has cliffs, scientific trails, seabirds, turtle nesting importance, military logistics, plastic pollution arriving from distant countries, and research authorized through PR Oilhus, Pro Trindade, Size Bio, and institutional filters. It is the perfect final island because it contains every theme in this journey: nature, distance, defense, science, beauty, bureaucracy, and the uncomfortable fact that some places become more valuable when most of us stay away. Trindade is not the Brazil of postcards. It is the Brazil at the end of the map, still watching the ocean, and that is the hidden coastal Brazil. Not just open sand and warm water, but islands where seeing is not the same as entering. Some are guarded by law, some by soldiers, some by snakes, some by birds, and some by the simple brutality of distance. Our instinct is to ask, how do I get there? But the better question is sometimes, why has this place survived without me? Because not every paradise is improved by arrival. Some places remain extraordinary because the gate stays closed, the boat keeps moving, and the island is allowed to be more than a destination.